Hello everyone and welcome to another episode of WrestleSpin, episode number, we don't do episode numbers. And
it's 11, it's episode 11.
Is it? Okay.
It's episode 11, yeah,
episode
the big
11.
1-1.
Excellent, well glad you've kept tabs and we are here to discuss CM Punk, clearly not company man Punk, as his
We're here to
nickname would
talk
suggest.
about that no good drug addict CM Punk.
That no good drunk addict quieter CM Punk, who has clearly, as you will see with the just crazy statistics of the amount of people that have listened to, downloaded, subscribed to the Colt Cabana's Art of Wrestling podcast, you'll see that anyone that said that a lot of people did make the comment that he's irrelevant, no one gives a fuck about CM Punk anymore. This will prove, for better or for worse, that people are very much still invested in the guy and want to hear what he has to say. And Angus and I will discuss just the little bits of the podcast and stuff like that, what we thought and the wider implications it has.
Yes.
It's a pretty big deal, isn't it? I think really
it is. It's possibly the most eye-opening podcast of all time, apart from episodes 1 through 10 of WrestleSpin.
Yeah. They can't handle our content. I mean,
the whole podcast, it just focuses on mostly CM Punk from 2011 to when he quit in 2000, was fired rather, in 2014, and it's about his disgruntledness with the company and how they mistreated him basically, and their negligence towards him.
Yep.
From when he re-signed with them after the whole Money in the Bank thing in 2011, and they promised him, bigger and better things, and they basically gave him a staph infection, and so that's pretty much what it boils down to. But we'll get into more details about it because it shines a light on the fact that 2014 the WWE is still no better than what it was in 1987.
Yeah, or 2007.
Or whatever. It hasn't changed at all, basically. It's
no,
what
it hasn't.
He says, but I mean, we're not in there. We can't really say for sure.
I want to start off by just saying one thing about the people that like to point out this is a fair criticism if you're aware of everyone else, but other stories. But a lot of people say, well, this is only one side of the story. Right, I want to start that off by saying it really isn't, because almost everything that he has said here has been actually like the thing about this podcast. It is revelationary and it's got these big stories and stuff and big headlines and stuff and things. But a lot of things similar to this have been said in the past by many workers who have been deemed disgruntled or just washed up or a nobody. But I don't think anyone the size of CM Punk since the 80s or the 90s, the popularity of him has came out and said something as damning or said things as damning as what he said on the podcast with Colt. This is what he said is massive, and really it's kind of ridiculous that people just instantly think, oh, he's probably just bullshitting. Yeah, what a liar. Why would he do that? He's stupid quieter. People just don't. I don't know. I think people hate this guy so much. He's got such a split audience. They hate him so much that they're willing to look past all the facts, all the things that can be confirmed and stuff like that, and just deem him, a bitter quitter. And both of those. One of those things is true. I mean, he's obviously bitter, but as he said, bitterness doesn't have to have a negative connotation. The term bitter, if you were killed, right? Let's say you died.
If I was killed,
let's say if you died, right? And I was complaining about the murder or whatever like that, something like this is a bit extreme, but would I be bitter for complaining about it and complaining about it and complaining about it when it's such an awful thing? That's the way I look at it.
It depends. Did I deserve to be killed?
Well, that's true. That brings that into question. But anyway.
Yeah, well, I was gonna say with the whole thing is he mentions about I found the most interesting thing about it was the whole lack of care from the medical staff in WWE.
That's just
because he was going on about how he he injured his knee or his elbow rather. He injured his elbow in 2010, And he's like, okay, I'm going to take like, a week off. Oh, no, I'm going to take like, months off, just to get this, fixed up, rehab it, come back. And, it'll be a bit of a break, bit of a refresher for me. And the week after he gets it done, Vince calls him up and says, all right, we want you back on the road. You're going to do promos, whatever. Mm-hmm. So he doesn't get a break then. And he's not given enough time to rehab his, his elbow. He does his knee. And then they say, okay, we want you to wrestle, The Rock at Royal Rumble, right? This is just after TLC. He gets the surgery done. Usual recovery times, like 4 to 6 weeks.
Yep.
And the pay-per-view's in like 3 weeks or something. And he needs to wrestle The Rock. He's like, okay, after I wrestle The Rock, I'm gonna take time off, and then that's it. And then he's like, nope, you got to wrestle at what was it, Elimination Chamber? Then you got to wrestle. Take at WrestleMania, and then he takes some time off, basically. This is kind of like a recurring thing as well. He gets a concussion, he does a concussion test, and they're like, oh, yeah, you passed. And just run the ropes just to check, that kind of thing. So, like, what was the point of the test? If they want to do more tests on him to see if it was fine.
That's it. I mean,
yeah. They make him wrestle with concussions. They don't give him enough time to rehab. No. That kind of thing, and they keep, Ryback as well. He goes on about Ryback being unsafe.
This was bad for Ryback.
Because
not good. He had just started to get over with the smart audience. You know what I mean, for lack of a better term. And now he hasn't got a shadow on as I thought. There's been a lot of people that have defended him and said stuff like, you know what, that was then, this is now, and he's maybe and honestly, I do think that there's a huge chance that could be the case. You know what I mean? He's learned from this thing, but at the same time, it's pretty damn interesting. You know what I mean? What happened there, and if you do watch one of the big botches with the going to the table, that was just stupid. That was just retarded.
Well,
wow. Like, that is a colossal mistake by a veteran. Like, Ryback's not been wrestling for 1 year. He's been wrestling since, like, 2004. He's
been in, like, the developmental for, like, what, 6-7 years or something?
Yeah, something crazy like that.
Well, maybe there was a good reason for that then. I mean, when he came in 2012, he was definitely not ready, and you could see that.
Yeah.
And he was getting over, and Cena wasn't around. They needed someone to, be fed to CM Punk, sort of thing.
Yeah.
So obviously he wasn't ready, and that's what Punk was talking about in the podcast.
Yeah.
Was that he wrestled him in like a couple pay-per-views in a row in 2012 when he was champion, and like both times Ryback was stiff. He kicked him in the ribs and broke his ribs or something like that.
Jeez. This guy was working so injured, and you could tell. I mean, everyone thought this before he was injured. I mean, before he announced this, everyone thought he was like looking beat up and tired.
Well, especially later last year, late 2013, sure. He was looking horrible.
I mean, he shat himself in the ring.
Yeah,
that's kind of funny. I get it.
I wish I saw that actually.
Yeah, that was something to do with like the fact that the antibiotics and all that kind of stuff or something like that. Like that is just that is so bad. Like, I mean, we complain, it's justifiably in many cases, like, poor booking, blah blah blah. But from a well-being perspective, that's the thing you got to take from this. Not the fact that he wasn't pushed to his potential. The fact that the guy could have died. And and I'm not using that as like a big buzzword or anything to try and get attention. Like he said it himself. The doctor said it himself.
Yep.
Staph infections can kill you. I mean, think about it's on a personal note. Think about my grandfather. Whatever, he got staph infection. He was literally hours from death. Do you know what I mean?
That's right.
It is serious, and he's wrestling on it. You think about this: what if he lands on it incorrectly? He's dead.
He is. Yep.
He's
dead. If that burst, he would have been dead.
Fuck. I mean, like, fucking hell. Like, how could they? And like people say, oh, it's one mistake. As a doctor, as a medically trained doctor, how in the world could you not what's the word, diagnose one of those infections?
Precisely. I mean, I need to go back and watch Royal Rumble now just to see that because apparently he had like some kind of purple like cyst type thing on his back.
Yeah.
So I should probably go back and watch that just to, see where it was and stuff.
Yeah,
because,
yeah. I watched this concussion when Kofi comes in and hits him.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
then he just like basically goes down. And actually, as dedication to his like character, he goes and talks over to Jimmy Uso and says, "Oh, you headbutt me? Oh, like I'll headbutt you like a Samoan, the Samoan thing." And then he goes down for pretty much the rest of the match.
Ah, okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I mean that's the thing with that match is like CM Punk is really like a non-factor in that Royal Rumble match, and then
until
Kane,
he's eliminated. Yeah,
and it's funny because he mentions how Kane was just hiding back there, just ready to eliminate him at any whenever like they felt he needed to, sort of thing, and like that's what happens. Kane is like crouching next to a camera, and they can kind of see him in the camera eye, and they pull CM Punk out of the ring and chokeslams him through the table.
God, no! Think about oh my God, he had a concussion and he did that. I'm pretty sure. And didn't he say he had a concussion like in the match? Like I think he's talking to the guys. Like he's like, "Fuck, I'm done." Like, oh, what the fuck? Yeah. And then they go ahead. You know what I mean? Like, and like it clearly with like some of Ryback's tweets about working injured and stuff like that. There is this huge culture, and this is in the sporting industry in general. But there is this huge culture of working hurt and work through the pain. And like when Bryan took the stinger and like. Triple H, rightfully wanted him to stop, and like Bryan got angry at him. Bryan, you're totally in the wrong there, buddy. Like, this is not the old days. You do not want to fuck around. Why do you think so many of these people get addicted to painkillers and get all this? Because they try to work hurt. Like, honestly, John Cena is going to be, like, at 40, 45, the guy is going to be looking old. He's going to be run down. I mean, Mick Foley can't even walk properly anymore. I mean, that makes sense. But there's so many people out there that are just completely done from a health perspective, and it's reasons like working hurt. Working for the WWE seems to be, from a health perspective, a fucking nightmare. Because
unless your name is Glenn Jacobs.
Unless you're him, yeah. He's done all right, yeah. But like, what's the word? And then you've also got, because of course Glenn was a doctor,
Oh yeah, he was old Isaac Yankem.
Yeah, but no, but like for example, when you say that, you think about all the other people that have suffered over the years and stuff like that, and working through injuries, and it's eventually going to add up to these people. And on top of that, if you even say that you're injured or you express the concern, Punk seems to heavily imply that you will be punished for it. You'll be depushed if you speak up. You'll be depushed. He himself, who was a big deal in this era of wrestling, this 2011, even 2006, Punk's always been someone of note, but during his meteoric rise, even at the very top, he still never had the same level of respect as anyone else. He never got the same money, even though he was doing the same work. That's the very interesting one. The one that I knew for years. I had a feeling. The big one was that, everyone does, or certain stars do the exact same amount of charity work or interviews as John Cena, but they only credit John Cena as the one that does above and beyond.
Yeah,
and
that
makes him seem like a total fraud. Because, like to me, like obviously it's great that he's doing that kind of thing. But on the other hand, if everyone else is, shouldn't you give them all credit? And as Punk says, why would you want to make people look weak? The idea of burying and destroying momentum and stuff. Why would you want to make the people that you hire not look as good? You know what I mean?
I never understood that either. It's like, why would you want to bury talent? Like, isn't the whole point of your company to make everyone look as good as they can possibly look?
So then you got multiple revenue streams. Like, it means that you can make mid-carders profitable and stuff like that. And, people buying shirts, Ziggler shirts, Ryback shirts, Ryder shirts. You know what I mean? Like, that kind of thing. Like, you can make money from multiple people. You can market certain things to children like John Cena shirts, and you can market certain things to teenagers and adults like CM Punk shirts. You can have multiple people on the top. Do you know what I mean? But the thing is that time and time again, he gives these examples of where for a fact he is not being treated the same. And everyone says, oh, he got the 400 and plus day reign, 434 day reign. Yeah. But that, honestly, that was just something to shut him up. You know what I mean? That and And then when push came to shove, no, he wasn't on the final on the end of the card. He wasn't, the one that was getting the same level of credit. They turned him heel, which I can see why they did, but as you said, we lost a lot of money from that. And of course, the very famous example of Triple H coming out of retirement to beat him and then go back into retirement, which, I mean, God, why? Why would you weren't watching at the time though yet, weren't you? I wasn't
watching, but I've gone back and it makes no sense to me.
Dumb. I mean, on one hand, he did take 5 finishes. You know what I mean? It's not like he looked terrible, but it's still the fact that they brought in Kevin Nash like that. And as you see with Triple H. And people recently, ever since NXT's got really popular, they call him Base God Triple H, hero of the IWC now, conveniently forgetting about everyone his momentum is stifled. The fact that CM Punk actually came out and actively and said it now confirms it to me. It says that people were arguing, it wasn't, it just happened to be an interesting angle and they went a different direction with it. No. He did that so he could go over him and be like, there we go.
Yeah, I never understood the point of that whole thing. It's and then it's to make it up for him. I guess they wanted him to wrestle in at Mania, this last Mania 30, and then they're like, you need to wrestle me more than I need to wrestle you. Basically, that's the whole thing.
That was a really good quote, actually.
That Punk said to Triple H is you need to wrestle, which is true. It's Triple H at this point is basically retired, for lack of a better word. He's retired. He doesn't wrestle in ring. So. It's to make him look good or something, or to make him relevant or something. I don't know. It made more sense when he wrestled Daniel Bryan, of course. I mean, it wouldn't make much sense for him to wrestle CM Punk anyway.
No.
So it made, and Daniel Bryan and him had a great match and told a great story, and I think it made sense. And if he were to wrestle CM Punk at WrestleMania 30, I don't think it would have been as good for either guy. I think it would be 3 years too late for CM Punk to get his redemption on him. Mm-hmm. And it would make much sense for Triple H to be in a feud with him anyway when you got Daniel Bryan there, who it makes more sense for him to wrestle.
And what's even funny is that they would have been thinking, when they're in that room together, Vince and Triple H were thinking, here we go, we can string him along again, here we go, I'll give him a win back at WrestleMania, damn it. They probably think they're bloody geniuses for thinking that up. It's you wouldn't have been in this predicament if you just did it right 3 years ago.
Yeah, exactly.
2 years,
that's another... Ago. A great thing he talks about is and a lot of people could say, this is just him being disgruntled and stuff. Yeah. Where he talks about his terrible booking, basically, how poorly he was booked for his entire run from when he re-signed in 2011, and it's I agree with him. Sure, I mean that's what everyone's been saying, hasn't it? He was champion for 434 days, but how many times did he really main event?
Not that many at all.
And how many worthwhile storylines was he actually in? And how did it serve anything but just to lose to The Rock?
Yeah, that's right. And the fact, it kind of broke my heart a little bit to hear that he actually really did campaign for a triple threat at Mania. Really kind of pissed me off. That kind of made me sad because it's you know what I mean? That was kind of the rumor. It was they wanted to go for a triple threat, but they don't. Or people thought this should have been a triple threat. But the fact that he really wanted to put it to a triple threat, that just makes me upset because that would have been a better main event, maybe. I mean, obviously the Taker match is great.
Yeah.
But I still think Punk deserves a main event.
Even if Rock went in as champion, you could have had.
You could have justified it. Yeah.
You could have said, CM Punk, he technically beat him at was it Elimination Chamber? Because the ref was knocked out, remember?
Yeah.
So you could say, sure, CM Punk technically beat him. John Cena won the Royal Rumble. Why not have a triple threat? And CM Punk's just beat me in the first 5 minutes, and that way it'll get the monkey off my back about, wanting to main event WrestleMania, and they can have their match. Fine, just put me in there. Mm-hmm. And then I would have argued maybe have Chris Jericho versus Undertaker, a match that,
that would have been very unique, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I'm not saying that Punk versus Undertaker is not unique, but I mean, we've seen Punk versus Undertaker years before, only more recent than we would have seen Jericho versus Taker.
I thought, that's one of those matches that should have happened at WrestleMania that never did.
Yeah, that's true.
So I mean that would have made WrestleMania 29, in my opinion, much better.
Yep,
Because
agree.
what was Jericho doing? He was just jobbing out to Fandango, and
Oh,
look
of
where
course,
Fandango is now.
that's right. Yeah. Sorry,
So
I
you could have
forgot about that.
that's why I said Jericho, because otherwise, yeah, he was totally wasted on that show.
Of course he was, yeah. No wonder
Yeah.
he doesn't, you know. Now, another thing that's good to bring up is the whole out of touch. Continuing on with that, I think what I thought was just astounding, and I think I had heard about this back in the day when it first happened, but the UFC comments.
Ah, yes.
Now, I mean, I don't like UFC at all. I think it is. I don't really like it. I actually don't really care. I just think it's a bit to me. But it's not gonna. But you don't die in the ring. Do you know what I mean? You don't die, and women fight there too. You know what I mean? And you know, here's a great idea to get a small but relevant crossover audience, right? By having the WWE champion come out with his friend, Chael Sonnen or something, Sonnen. I don't know how to pronounce it. Anyway, he was a big deal at the time, this guy. And, you know, you got this incredible opportunity here to cross-promote, and it's like, oh, look, there's a WWE champion, maybe get a few more buys in for the show, and what's it called, you know, the day before the Rumble that was, and that'd be classic. And Vince goes, you know, oh, Phil, we can't do that. That's barbaric. Somebody's gonna die, or something like that. That's what he said.
And it's like Owen Hart died in the ring.
Yeah, it's like Owen Hart died in your ring, and then you continued the show. So, you know, but anyway, and then of course they say no, and then of course Triple H walks Floyd Mayweather to the ring. That's like the type of undermining that goes on there. Do you know what I mean? That purpose, and you know, the 12 rounds thing as well. That kind of thing. You know what I mean? That's what I just can't believe that a company, like a publicly traded company, behaves like this. It's just,
yeah, I know, it's ridiculous.
Why?
I don't know why. I mean, I could tell you why, but I don't think you'd be very happy with any of my answers.
What's that? What? Because they can get away with it?
No, because it's all about the money.
Yeah, well, that's true.
It's a company. It's a business.
Yeah. It is. But then, therefore, wouldn't it be a good business to have him walk down the aisle in UFC? UFC gets millions of buyers these days. That's
but I guess they view them as
fucking
competition.
But they're not. That's the thing.
I know. We can say they're not, but that doesn't.
But
that's
the thing is, clearly, the thing is, if there were competition, then Vince wouldn't say something as naive as somebody's going to die in the ring. Do you know what I mean? Like, it does not make any sense. Do you know what I mean?
I know. I mean, that's the whole mentality of
It is. That is their mentality, and it's wrong. It is just absolutely wrong. You know. Yeah. It's you know, and then so with the movie, of course, like they did this thing where like they wanted him, and he thought that'd be good. I can get off the tour, and then what happened there? Like he said.
Well, yeah, the whole thing was CM Punk was like offered to be in 12 rounds too.
Yeah.
And at this point he was working so often, and he was just like, oh my god, I'm so beat up at this point. I just want to rest. So I was like, how about if I work the movie, if I make the movie with them, then yeah, I'll miss the European tour. Sure, fine. Even though I'm champion at the time, the champion missing European tour. Bit of a deal, but who cares? At least I'll get a rest while I make this movie, sort of thing. That's how he looked at it.
Yeah.
And then the next day, Triple H calls him back and says, "All right, sorry, yep, the European tour is that day. Randy will be in the movie instead."
Yeah.
And that's it. That
Rather it was announced on the internet. Actually.
Yeah, that's right. He read it on the website, and then that's what Triple H said to him. So they don't even give him a courtesy to tell him he's not in the movie anymore, and Randy is, and that kind of thing. Which is, I think that's just that's a good example of sort of like how he was treated. Is like he was never really their main like attraction sort of thing, and they never gave all their attention to him. They never devoted any long-term picture to him. It was always like, okay, what's John Cena got? What have we got set up for him for the next 6 months or whatever? Okay, what's CM Punk doing today? All right, fine. And what's he doing next week? That okay, cool. Let's run with it. Yeah. Sort of thing. So like they never had
booking.
They never really had any long-term vision for CM Punk, which kind of showed with his whole championship reign, because what was it? It was all in vain. It accomplished nothing. The whole 4-3-4 thing.
Yeah.
Being champion for that amount of time.
You're right.
What did they get out of that? Like, what was the point of it? It didn't culminate in any storyline. It didn't culminate in any kind of, moment or anything.
No, not much, except for like the heel turn on Punk. I mean, on Rock was a big moment. Like winning the title was a big moment.
He was only champion for like 8 months at that point.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true. The way he lost it, yeah. Well, no, here's what it was used for. It was used as a vehicle to get, twice in a lifetime. That's all it was used for.
Yeah, that's true, but you could have had anyone.
Which is disgraceful. That I'm not. Yeah, I'm saying that. You're saying what did it lead to? Well, unfortunately, that's the only thing it led to. And The Rock, had kind of average matches, and yeah.
He never blew the roof off the place back in 2011. I mean 2013, 2012. I always thought though The Rock's best two matches were against CM Punk. Those two ones he had at Extreme Rule, Elimination Chamber, and Royal Rumble were better than any of the ones he had against John Cena.
Yeah.
Even the first one he had against John Cena, which everyone's like, oh, that was pretty good. It's like, no, it wasn't. It really wasn't.
It really wasn't. No.
I thought it would be something, but it didn't have that feel to it. They just don't have the chemistry Cena and Rock do as like other people do. And I guess the only reason CM Punk and him had decent-ish matches, they weren't masterpieces or anything, they were fine, is just because CM Punk is a good worker and could carry the Rock, whereas John Cena is more of a safe worker. And I guess that's kind of what he did with the Rock. He worked very safely with him because the Rock is like a big-time movie star, and you can't hurt the Rock, because if you hurt the Rock, then you're going to be in serious shit.
You're fucked, yeah.
So let's put him against Cena, who's the number one draw at the time and is also very safe.
Yeah. Now, he also brings up the fact that, he was selling more T-shirts. He was selling more merch than Cena. And that doesn't matter to them. So they say, you got to grab the brass ring. You got to do all this stuff. You got to get over. You got to try and sell stuff. You got to market yourself. Here he is, doing all of that, right? This crazy whole pipe bomb thing, but it still means nothing, doesn't it? Like Cena, look, who's on top right now? He's retired, and John Cena's on top. That's it. That's his legacy. That's his legacy.
CM Punk has no legacy at this point.
He's got no legacy, but as a poster child for someone that could have been more.
His legacy is that 434-day reign. That's pretty much it.
I mean, they killed they destroyed straight edge society to get Big Show over. Do you know what I mean? Like, the guy's been handed shit the whole time. Even when he first got there, do you know what I mean? Like remember, like he was stuck in OVW hell until they needed to bring in ECW. You know what I mean? And not to say that he hasn't had opportunities. Like, he has had opportunities, definitely, where he won two Money in the Bank briefcases at the in a row. That's definitely good. He got an opportunity to run a stable. But the thing is that it always starts off decent, right? Every time you're thinking, here we go. We got this great idea, right? This can work. And I give him credit. There's actually some good material there during his time. He's definitely got career highlights. But it's like it just all eventually starts to fizzle out.
Yeah, he never had anything long-term to run with it that was decent.
Yeah.
It always started hot and then just petered out. Like his whole championship reign, it started out good with the whole, the triple threat, even, at TLC was good. And then, I'd say everything up until after Extreme Rules, after his Jericho program, whatever, after he finished with Jericho, he was what was he doing? Daniel Bryan stuff was glorified mid-card, basically.
Oh, of course. It could have been better.
It was essentially mid-card. And what happened at those pay-per-views? John Laurinaitis versus John Cena is the main event? That was the main event.
To me, I just like hearing about what Punk has said about, people like being bitter and Triple H not liking him and stuff, fucking hate him or whatever. To me, that just seems like they did that as a joke. Like, I mean, what sort of people think that would have been a better main event? Like, even for kids like watching, like, seriously, like Daniel Bryan and CM Punk, right? Mm-hmm. Two very good wrestlers with an over person. AJ was quite over and stuff like that. All that sort of stuff. Or John Cena versus John Laurinaitis, which is just a glorified bullying match. Do you know what I mean?
And Big Show comes in as well.
Oh, of course.
Big Show heel turn number 596 or something.
Yeah.
And then you have, John Cena versus Big Show at the next pay-per-view. And then you got, I suppose the Money in the Bank match at Money in the Bank was just a main event, I suppose.
Fair enough.
That was fair enough. And then what do you have the month after that at SummerSlam?
What was it again?
Triple H versus Brock Lesnar.
That's
the main
right,
event.
of course.
And then finally, CM Punk gets the main event at pay-per-view for the second time in his... this is almost 6 months at this point.
Yeah.
He main events, and it's him versus John Cena.
Of course. So John Cena always main events. So that's the only reason why. If John Cena was versing Hornswoggle, that would have been the main event.
Yes, probably.
You know what I mean?
And then I think what was it next month? Was Night of Champions again, the two of them main event.
Yep.
And then after that, then after that, CM Punk actually main events without John Cena against Ryback.
Yep.
And
now, wasn't that because Cena was injured though?
Yeah, I think Cena was off for a brief period of time at that point.
Yeah, that's right. So the thing is that the guy had a few main events, but they were always overshadowed, and they were always basically emergency. There's no one else. We got to get him. And the thing is that Triple H going over him at Night of Champions the previous year, he was getting so much press. When the pipe bomb dropped, the whole world knew about it. That was in the entertainment business, right? That was a big deal. People that hate him try and be like, oh my god, what? He's just a smarky guy that dropped insider references. No. People to this day, even though there's a complete evidence saying it's it was a worked shoot, some people still do believe that it was real. Do you know what I mean? That's the kind of reaction. Obviously, you can look at it now and see that's the case. That's not the case, but that's how much of an impact it had on the wrestling, wrestling media, on the general media. I remember, I think I saw something on TV in Australia. Do you know what I mean? It was a huge deal, front page everywhere, massive press, and it fizzled out because they had an excellent momentum with CM Punk and Cena, obviously, and credit to Cena, put an excellent match at the pay-per-view. But then the next night they fucking ruin it by having the next week or whatever, by having Rey Mysterio win the title, which is a feel-good moment, only for the ultimate underdog, John Cena, to come over and fucking win the title off him. And then all of a sudden, Punk comes back only a week later, instead of what they should have done, him going around to these different gyms or something like that, or kind of had a hidden camera type thing following him around, trying to get him, or they could have done something crazily cool with that. But of course not.
I suppose. I think we'll about wrap this up, because I think we've talked about at length about as much as we possibly can.
Yeah.
Is the overall message we get from this is CM Punk, what could have been.
Yeah.
And I think that's very true.
He was someone that we're not saying he's a failure.
He was a billionaire that should have been a quadrillionaire.
Yeah.
Or a millionaire that should have been a billionaire. He should have been one of the top guys
of
for
all
years.
time. Yeah,
he should have had a long run at the top.
And it comes down to this. This is a quote. What's the word? It's apparently, what was it? What's this? The stuff about the doctor. To wrap that up, there's something about he got a concussion when he versed Luke Harper, right? And then he had to go to Europe or whatever, and he said that was on him, dry heaving after all the matches and stuff like that on all fours, getting a Z-Pack, the Z-Pack medicine or whatever, because then he shits himself on SmackDown, right? And I'm just reading this, I'm trying to get the bit. He can't, he talked about that, blocks the WWE Twitter, and then he's getting 2 MRIs a week, right? And then he started to question his pay as well. He goes, I'm hurt, and you're asking me to make these shows even though I'm hurt, and you're telling me to take it easy, and you're cutting my pay. What the fuck is wrong with that? I thought you were going to owe me. You need to fucking fix this. You need to fucking pay me, whatever. And that's exactly right. And then later on, he says that his knees torn up. He's fucking sick. Fucking help me. Do you know what I mean? His ribs are broken. Do you know what I mean? All of these injuries, the staph infection, that's the big one, right? That you get out of this, the biggest shock, really. But it's all the other stuff that led up to that, where he's saying, "Fucking help me!" If a human being saying that, right? They know he's sick. This is not just regular negligence. You know what I mean? There's something so malicious about this, because he's begging to be helped, to be fixed. Do you know what I mean? He's begging for people to look at this and diagnose this. And then he goes to another doctor, and all the other doctor has to do is look at it, and he knows it's a staph infection. He could have died. I mean, that's just incredible that could actually take place. So, all this stuff happens, all this medical stuff, and then, of course, he's fired on his wedding day, which was intentional as well. So, overall, absolute abuse to the guy.
Mm-hmm.
I hope that this gains traction. I hope you spread it around. I hope people know about this. And, that is
That's
the
pretty
story.
much it. I think we covered this pretty in-depthly. So, yeah, if you want to check out more, just Google it. That's all I'm going to say.
Of course, we'll link some good stuff. But, yes, so thank you for listening, and we shall see you later. Goodbye.
Goodbye.